So this segment is going to be about sound. My own experience with sound from my YouTube channel is that my viewers will put up with so-so quality video, but if the sound quality is bad, they'll turn the video off. So we can get super picky with sound, and we can go way deep down a rabbit hole with sound if you want to. I try to keep it relatively simple. When I'm filming live like this, for example, I film with a tripod and with my iPhone 8. That I find that the internal camera on the iPhone 8 is decent. It's not fantastic, but I don't have a microphone yet that can pin onto the lapel and can plug into the phone, which would be better. But I find that this is sufficient. When I'm recording on my desktop, I actually have a barrel mic with a desktop stand and a USB connector. This one's from Fifine. I think I paid about 50 bucks for it. Nice windscreen. Sound quality is pretty good. And the reason I use that is I don't find that my internal microphone in my laptop just doesn't really cut it for me. I get a tinny sound and that I just don't like. The other aspect about sound is that if you can control for it, try not to talk into a flat surface. So like right now, I need the light and I'm talking into a window-ish, but they're broken up a little bit by drapes on either side. It's better than nothing. When I'm recording on my desktop, I actually have a little kind of fabric curtain stand that I put up behind the laptop, and then I talk into that so that it dampens the sound and I get a lot less bouncing sound waves. Sound quality is pretty good. Again, you can go crazy with sound, but you'll want to just maybe take a couple of test runs, play back the sound, see if it sounds decent, and that's really what we're after, is good to decent quality sound on our video recordings. Lighting is important. Backlit, looks like there's a halo around me, and I have a face that's in the shadows. Same distance away as the last shot. The only difference now is the window is here and I am facing it. Notice the difference. Nice skin tones here, face is lit up, the background is kind of dark. This is a good shot. Well, better. Scripting. Have a script. You don't have to read from it word for word, but have a script. I have one for this segment. I don't know if you can read that or not. Let's see it, right? It keys to good recording with my nice coffee stain here with lighting and sound and framing, eye contact, comfortability. So I've created myself a script. Now I've kept it simple and I've done a series of shots here, which I'm going to then fuse together and edit together. It's fine. I personally don't like my videos to come off as highly scripted. For me, I'm a lot more interested. I mean, clearly and those kinds of things are part of my videos. For me, that lends itself to kind of authenticity. That's how I talk, and that's how my classes were when I was in the classroom. But have a script, and if it's a highly polished video, you actually might want to script it out in you know, maybe a big kind of poster board or whatever, and maybe have it kind of plastered somewhere here behind the camera. You know, kind of have to look up occasionally and then look back to make eye contact. But do script your ideas out before you start filming, because winging it, unless you're really good, unless you're super experienced, doesn't oftentimes produce the results that you're going to want to have. And then what ends up happening is you end up refilming and refilming and refilming, and you get super frustrated with it. So have a script. Framing makes a difference. I'm kind of center of the frame right now with the camera more or less level, just a little bit below my eyes, and the camera about 1.5 feet, maybe 2 feet away. I've also kind of chosen background a little. So I've got plant and lamp over here, and I've got kind of dresser mirror there. I'm going to move here for a second. I want you to notice whether this is this next framing is better or worse. I think it's actually worse. So if I've chosen this framing, I've got kind of horns. That can be maybe a little bit distracting. So I think me just personally, yeah, that's better. Height is also an issue, so I'm going to lower the camera down. Right? And then kind of tilt it up. Not as good. I mean, unless you want to look at, you know, the inside of my nose. Down like this. We see this a lot, I think, with laptops. The more even that you can get this, the better. And clearly, if I'm to raise this, you know, this looks like a shot where, you know, I'm in a crowded room and I'm expecting 100 people in the back, which isn't the case. So let's readjust this. About eye level now. Camera a couple feet away here, right in front of me, facing the light source. It's decent framing. So this little segment's going to be about sound. Which album is that? So here's another couple of problems that sometimes we experience is in this video I have taken my phone off my tripod and I am holding it, and I'm of course getting wobble. Can't help that. Another thing that drives some of us absolutely batty is when you don't hold the phone or the camera kind of in this horizontal position, but rather hold it like I'm holding it now. So that's going to produce like a weird kind of black bars on either side. You can get rid of those, but you've got to have a decent editor in order to do that. So try to, you know, if you have a tripod, have your phone or your video source kind of set in something stable, a lot better. And again, if you're filming from a phone, and I tend to do that, horizontal, not vertical. Here's one of the hardest aspects about filming for me, and I can't speak for other people, but for me, I am relatively uncomfortable in front of the camera. I tell this story a lot. The very first YouTube video that I made, you know, well over a decade ago, I was super uncomfortable. I was doing kind of a talk and chalk kind of thing. For whatever reason, I wore a salmon shirt, which looked terrible in the light, and I was like super kind of jumpy. I did weird turns, and again, it was awful. If you're interested, I'll send you the link. You can have a laugh. Comfortability behind the camera comes with practice, and so if you're committed to making live videos like this, it does get a little bit easier. The other aspect about this that it's still hard for me is actually looking into the camera and making eye contact with the camera. So there are times that, you know, camera's not there, my notes may be here, right? And I may be kind of reading from them or whatever, but I'm not really making eye contact here with my students, with my audience. And so I have to be aware of where that camera is. Even this might make a little bit of a difference. I'm still looking into my phone, but I'm not making eye contact with the camera. So comfortability and eye contact, both of those kinds of issues with filming come with more experience. But if you start your very first video and you're thinking and very aware of eye contact and kind of comfortability, man, you're going to produce better quality videos earlier on in your videography experience. So continuity is something that we have to think about a little bit, especially if you have segments of a video that you're chopping up with kind of fade transitions in between the segments. And as a glasses wearer, I have done this before, that I film the first couple of segments with my glasses on, and then, I don't know, I forget about it because I'm distracted for a second, then I go to film the next couple of segments and I don't have my glasses on, and so that creates a continuity error. You know, another continuity error might be, for example, is I film this segment here with you know, the lamp light off, and then if I were to turn that on and then, you know, fade and then cut back into the scene, the light's suddenly on. It's an odd, jarring kind of thing, and sometimes the viewer doesn't even pick up on it necessarily, but they know that there's something wrong, which is a cognitive distraction, and we want to try to cut down on those as much as possible. So think about continuity, especially if you're going to edit different segments of videos with fade transitions in between segments. So also bear in mind that there are aspects of video and filming that, I mean, if you want to drive yourself crazy with them, you can try to account for everything, but there's probably always going to be an element of your video that isn't, you know, quite right. And there are a couple of examples, you know, here in the room. The lighting's not 100% what I would like for it to be today. Maybe I could have set an external light here. Maybe I should have. Taken some time. Yes, I could have probably done it. The shirt that I'm wearing is not particularly ideal. It's kind of a busy pattern. It looks okay, but a more solid pattern would probably be better. Here's something else that is difficult for those of us that are glass wearers, is that, so I have perfect lighting, right? And then I get this kind of, you know, what I would call like the Roy Orbison, you know, look. Like, this is better, but you know, there are times I tilt my head up and I just can't necessarily control, you know, for that. The other thing too is I have a squeaky chair, and again, I have a heavy chair over here that I probably could have moved, but I didn't do it. And when we're recording like this, I think for what I would call like everyday use, so that they are maybe introductory welcome videos that I'm inserting at the beginning of each module to kind of introduce students to the module and the tasks at hand for the module. You know, this is fine. This is perfectly acceptable, and these kinds of little snafus are perfectly acceptable part of those kinds of videos. Now, if this was a super polished video that, you know, high production value and I'm being paid for it, whatever, again, I would want to control for these few variables around here that I just mentioned that can serve as a distraction. Now, in general, we want to cut down on distractions, but again, if you're filming at home and it's for kind of general consumption, what I would call everyday use, you know, try to keep it simple, especially when you're starting out. You know, don't drive yourself completely crazy with trying to account for every single filming variable that you possibly can. So that's all we have for this video, just a handful of tips to try to produce better quality live or face-to-face videos. And I wish you guys all the best in that endeavor. I know for me that has not always been an easy, blissful path. Hopefully you'll take a look at this and maybe pick up a few tips that help ease your journey along the way to better filming for your courses. Thanks for watching.